Acupuncture treatment for bipolar disorder. Points that open the mind's orifices are as follows. We start with lung 3. This is called Heavenly Palace. This is a window of the sky point. We use this as first aid for carbon monoxide poisoning. We consider lung 3 for mental confusion, severe depression, claustrophobia, agoraphobia, or forgetfulness. As a window, it can lift and revitalize the spirit of a person cut off or imprisoned within themselves, often as a result of the reaction to chronic grief or sadness. We commonly use lung 3 with Li17 or Li18. Large intestine 5 or Yang stream is a far point, Qing River point. This often neglected point can have a remarkable effect on certain mental disorders. It is said to be helpful for people who see ghosts and spirits when it is commonly sedated. Li5 is also for mad people who want to throw off their clothes, often used together with Li4 for their purifying and enlivening effects. We consider Li5 for tinnitus, deafness, skin disorders, incoherent speech, stuttering, pain, or arthritis of the hand, thumb, or wrist. Can be used to warm a cold or inert metal causative factor. Large intestine 7 is a She cleft or accumulation point. This can be used to warm a metal causative factor who is physically or emotionally cold, inert, withdrawn, or despairing, and it can take a lot of moxa, up to 30. It is said to treat madness, the seeing of ghosts, mania, and hysteria. It nourishes, strengthens, and invigorates the meridian. Consider Li7 for acute conditions associated with the large intestine. Stomach 25 is called a heavenly pivot. This is the front mu alarm point for large intestine. This is the point to release the internal dragons. This important point is at the center of one's being. Above is heaven, below is earth. It's a central pivot of our heavenly and earthly chi. It is also the name of the central star in the northern Big Dipper, also known as the plow. The other 6 stars rotate around it. Great for earthing a person who is experiencing a lot of ups and downs, mood swings, mania, anxiety, or mental instability. Stomach 25 is said to be helpful for women who are preoccupied with gynecological problems such as conception, infertility, or are experiencing menstrual disorders. We often pair stomach 25 with spleen 15 in order to enhance its stabilizing action. Its name is recorded in a manuscript from the 1st century BCE. Stomach 40, abundant splendor. This is a luo connecting point or junction point. This is also called a quiet word point. This wonderful nurturing point connects and enhances the stomach, who rots and ripens, to the one that transports and transforms, thus bringing balance and harmony to the earth element. It is one of the main points in TCM to resolve and clear damp and phlegm from the system. And thus, stomach 40 can help with mental fogginess and confusion, lethargy, poor memory, worry, or obsessive thinking. Stomach 42, rushing yang. This is a source point, exit point, perfect calm point. This frequently used point can calm the system if there is worry, anxiety, mania, overthinking, or instability troubling the patient. It can be combined with Sanjiao 4 for general harmonization of the system, or with Li4 to augment this calming effect. Conversely, stomach 42 can be used to invigorate the whole meridian. Stomach 45, hard bargain. This is a metal point, sedation point, a Jingwell point. This is also called a cruel payment point. This is a good first aid for indigestion and hangover. Being the sedation point, stomach 45 can be used to calm the mind and spirit, effective for insomnia and agitation, problems of the mouth, particularly deviation of the mouth, or clenched jaws. Small intestine 16, heavenly window. This is a window of the sky point. It calms the spirit and brings a new perspective to a person who has lost hope and vision, or who is unable to resolve their present difficulties because they cannot separate pure from impure. Helps with mental concentration. We use SI16 for neck problems or where there is sluggishness or lethargy present. Next is bladder 10, heavenly pillar. This is a window of the sky point, the point of sea of chi. This window and sea of chi point can be as powerful as the kidney chest points from kidney 22 to 27. Bladder 10 treats the spirit of the bladder. It clears the brain, stimulates memory and concentration. It gives a new perspective on a person's life if living under a cloud of fear. Heavenly pillar, pillar in the name may refer to the trapezius muscles which support the head as it treats disorders of the neck. It is named after a star, thus indicating its spiritual quality. Pericardium 5, the intermediary. This is a metal point, a Jing River point, crossing point of heart, pericardium, lung. This is a ghost point. As the intermediary, it listens to all sides and brings harmony. This point mediates between the heart, pericardium, and lung. PC5 is a very important point, assisting the heart in its communication with the other officials, the other organs. It can ease many stomach disorders. Fire is the mother of earth. For example, inability to digest food, abdominal cramps, or nervous vomiting. Beneficial for cardiac pains, irregular periods, or vaginal discharge. We consider pericardium 5 if the patient feels as though they are possessed by the devil. This is one of the 13 classic points for a degree of possession. For a sensation of heat in the palms of the hands, PC5 is helpful for palpitations, insomnia, hysteria, or manic depression. Gallbladder 13, root spirit. This is the crossing point of gallbladder and the yang wei mai or yang linking vessel. This important point has a similar name, Ben Shen, to Chapter 8 of the Ling Shu, which focuses on supporting the root of a patient, their spirit. Gallbladder 13 is used for disorders of the mind and spirit. It settles epilepsy, madness, jealousy, anger, obsessive thinking, and suspicion. GB13 counts the spirit if it's been uprooted or unearthed. It can strengthen a person's ability to be more assertive, present, and decisive. Consider using GB13 with GB15, 16, 38, Heart 5, Ren 4, or 224. Gallbladder 17, upright living. This is the crossing point of gallbladder and yang wei mai. Gallbladder is known as the upright and correct official, and this point can help strengthen these attributes within a person. GB17 can bring serenity to the spirit, particularly if fear and loneliness predominate. It is said to enhance Wood's virtue of benevolence and human kindness, located horizontally with the apex of the head. GB18, receiving spirit. This is the crossing point of gallbladder and yang wei mai. The name refers to the Ling spirit. It can profoundly enhance our sensitivity and awareness, particularly if we are stuck in obsessional thought patterns. GB18 is said to connect to the universal spirit and is located at a place called the cover of the celestial spirit. Consider GB18 for nasal congestion. It is also a point to consider if there are signs of dementia. Do16, Wind Palace. This is a window of the sky point, point of the Sea of Marrow, ghost point, crossing point of Tumai and Yang Wei Mai. Do16 is effective in treating the mind, in treating the patient at the spirit level. It can clear the head and bring perspective to their life and aid the integration of body, mind, and spirit. It helps the patient to hear and see with enhanced clarity. As a Sea of Marrow point, in combination with Do15, 19, and 20, Do16 can nourish the brain and the senses. This is a window of the sky point. It is suggested that the practitioner consider treating window points on the causative factor first before using this point to gauge its response. Do19, posterior summit. This is the point of C of marrow, commonly used together with 220 when the pulse picture is chaotic and the patient is severely agitated and disturbed. The treatment in this case is usually sedation. 219 helps calm and settle the patient and restores order amongst all the organs. For anxiety, when the Shen or spirit is disturbed, consider combining 219 with REN 15. 220, 100 meetings. This is the point of Sea of Marrow, the crossing point of all yang meridians, the point to release the external dragons, crossing of the Dumai with the deep pathway of the liver. The head is the meeting place of the 100 spirits. This is a comment from the Taoist storehouse text. 220 is another powerful spirit point which sits on top of the head, the meeting place of the 100 spirits. It calls upon our innate wisdom and knowledge and can bring everything together if a patient is fragmented, disconnected, chaotic, or severely agitated. In these cases, it is commonly sedated in conjunction with 219 so that the patient may be returned to a calm and serene place. It connects to the deep pathway of the liver and thus can be effective in cases where anger, frustration, depression, or lack of vision predominate. 220 strengthens the ascending function of the spleen and can be considered for prolapse of the anus, vagina, or uterus. As the crossing point of all the yang meridians, situated as it is in a prime position to receive the heavenly influxes on a meridian that regulates the yang, this is a point that strongly influences this aspect of a person. 220 clears the senses and nourishes the brain. When combined with kidney 1, which is the point closest to the earth, a patient can be helped to reconnect with their authentic self and their rightful position between heaven and earth. 226, the middle of man. This is the crossing point of Dumai, Renmai, Li, and stomach. Ghost point, another powerful point that goes to the very center of our being, as it sits between the nose, which receives the heavenly chi, and the mouth, which receives the potential for earthly chi, with humankind in the middle. Along with 227 and 28, it helps regulate the yin-yang balance within, especially if there is severe oscillation of emotion or mood, such as bipolar disorder or mania. Consider 226 when the patient is not whole within their spirit or when a degree of possession is suspected, used as a resuscitation point for loss of consciousness. And we use all the Jingwell points. Jingwell points are a group of acupuncture points located at the tips of the fingers and toes where there is little flesh. The chi at these points is considered to be shallow and narrow, yet dynamic, pouring forth like a spring or well. As the most superficial and sensitive points on these channels, the Jingwell points are frequently used for treating acute conditions such as headaches, fever, or pain. The volatility of the chi at these points is further emphasized by the fact that these locations at the extremities of the hands and feet are where yin and yang channels converge, where the chi changes direction and polarity. Yin transforms into yang and vice versa, and where the human body forms an interface with the exterior, that is heaven, the yang, and earth, the yin, or our external environment. Sun Si Miao listed 13 points for the treatment of Tian Kuang. In the following list, the first name that you will see is the most common one, and the one next to it is the alternative name. As can be seen, all the alternative names contain the word kui, that is coast. This is due to the fact that some kind of mental illnesses were considered to be due to the invasion of ghosts. So these are the instructions by Sun Si Miao. Ren 1 is used in men with moxa cones, and human in the anterior fold of the vagina is used in women with a moxa stick. Hai Chuan is a point in the veins under the tongue. The points were used for insanity from invasion of evil spirits. Use points bilaterally, but start on the left for men and the right for women, and withdraw in reverse order. So modern use of these points are for anxiety, uncontrolled weeping, fear, fright, disorientation, delirium, seizures, depression, hysteria, and mania. The pericardium channel in manic depression. In the acupuncture treatment of manic depression, it is important to place the emphasis on the pericardium channel to open the mind's orifices. The medical records of the Guide to Clinical Practice states depression is due to worry. The disease is in the spleen, heart, and pericardium channels. The main points from the pericardium channel to open the mind's orifices are P7, P8, and P5. Pericardium 7 is selected in case of severe mania to calm the mind and settle the ethereal soul. This is a source point. It is also called the Great Mound, the Earth Point, Sedation Point, Shoestring Point. It is a sexual calm point. PC7 is one of the 9 needles for returning yang. Consider when the patient is suffering from insecurity, vulnerability, sadness, rejection, or lack of joy, particularly when associated with relationship difficulties. As the earth point, it calms, stabilizes, and strengthens the meridian. PC7 also affects the heart in this way, protecting and steadying it, especially in times of emotional turmoil. Consider pericardium 7 when there is hysterical laughter or crying, or where mania or nervous panic is being exhibited. This point can be effective in cases of carpal tunnel syndrome or heat in the palm of the hand. Pericardium 8 is selected if there is fire. Pericardium 8 is palace of weariness. It's a fire point, horary point, seasonal horary point, summer, exit point, yin spring point, and a ghost point. Pericardium 8 brushes the ash off the fire meridian, allowing joy, love, vitality, and vigor to emerge once more to a patient weary of life. One of the most powerful points on the body, bringing elation, joy, and hope back to a person, especially if depressed or when very low in spirit. If the fire is deficient, the patient cannot share warmth or affection. This may result in their becoming cold, rigid, or miserable. It causes the energy of the heart to leap up. PC8 is helpful where a patient is experiencing excessive sexual fantasies or conversely, impotence. PC8 is local point for pain and stiffness in the hand. There are 3 ghost points on this meridian, which further illustrates its role as protector of the heart, particularly in cases such as out-of-control behavior, mania, or some degree of possession. Consider the use of moxa here in PC8, but take care not to overheat. Pericardium 5, the intermediary. It resolves phlegm from the mind. It is a metal point, Jing River point, crossing point of the heart, pericardium, lung. It is a ghost point. As the intermediary, pericardium 5 listens to all sides and brings harmony. This point mediates between the heart, pericardium, and lung. A very important point, assisting the heart in its communication with the other organs. It can ease many stomach disorders. Fire is the mother of earth. For example, inability to digest food, abdominal cramps, or nervous vomiting, and beneficial for cardiac pains, irregular periods, or vaginal discharge. Consider pericardium 5 if the patient feels as though they are possessed by the devil. This is one of the 13 classic points for a degree of possession, for a sensation of heat in the palms of the hands. This is helpful for palpitations, insomnia, hysteria, or manic depression.